Something strange is happening in grocery stores, and almost no one is talking about it. Certain everyday foods are quietly getting harder to find. The people noticing first? Preppers, and what they're buying might surprise you. The next sections break down 9 categories where this pattern is already visible. Each one has a different cause, but the outcome is similar: rising prices, uneven availability, and less reliability over time. Canned sardines and mackerel are becoming less predictable. Canned fish used to be one of the most stable categories in any grocery store. Prices stayed low for years, and supply rarely fluctuated. Over the last few years, that stability has started to shift. In many regions, the price of sardines and mackerel has increased significantly, and shoppers are noticing that shelves are not always fully stocked. The main reason behind this change is not simple inflation. Fisheries around the world have adjusted their catch limits due to declining fish populations and environmental changes. Ocean temperatures are shifting, and that affects where fish migrate and reproduce. When those patterns change, fishing becomes less predictable, and quotas are reduced to prevent long-term damage to fish stocks. When supply drops at a global level, it does not stay isolated. It affects everything from large retailers to smaller regional stores. At the same time, demand has not decreased. In fact, canned fish has become more popular because it is an affordable source of protein with a long shelf life. This combination creates a clear imbalance. When demand remains steady and supply contracts, prices rise, and availability becomes inconsistent. That is exactly what is being observed right now. Some stores have fully stocked shelves one week and noticeable gaps the next. From a practical standpoint, canned sardines and mackerel provide nutrients that are not easy to replace with other shelf-stable foods. They contain protein, healthy fats, and omega-3 fatty acids. When fresh fish becomes less accessible or more expensive, canned alternatives become more important, not less. Tomato paste depends on one region more than most people realize. Tomato paste feels like one of the most basic grocery items. It is inexpensive, widely used, and has been consistently available for decades. The issue is not the product itself, but where it is produced. A large portion of processed tomatoes in the United States comes from California's Central Valley. That level of concentration creates a single point of pressure. When conditions in that region change, the effects spread across the entire supply chain. In recent years, water availability has been a major challenge. Drought conditions and stricter water regulations have reduced how much farmers can grow. At the same time, labor costs and operational expenses have increased, making it harder for smaller producers to stay in business. Some have reduced production, while others have exited the market entirely. There is also a packaging factor that often goes unnoticed. Materials like steel and aluminum have become more expensive. When manufacturers face higher costs, they prioritize products that generate better margins. Small, low-cost items like tomato paste are often pushed down the list. The result is not a sudden shortage, but a gradual change in availability. Stores may receive fewer shipments, and shelves may not stay fully stocked. Customers who buy the same product regularly begin to notice that it is not always there when expected. Tomato paste plays a bigger role than most people think. It adds depth and flavor to simple meals and helps transform basic ingredients into something more complete. When it becomes less reliable, it affects more than just one recipe. Yeast supply shows how specialized production can create gaps. Yeast is not a product that most people think about until they need it. It is small, inexpensive, and usually easy to find. However, its production is far more complex than it appears. Yeast is a living organism that requires controlled environments to grow. Production facilities are highly specialized, and scaling up output is not something that can be done quickly. When demand increases suddenly, supply cannot always keep up. A few years ago, demand for yeast surged as more people started baking at home. Manufacturers increased production to meet that demand. When the surge slowed, production levels were reduced again. However, the baseline demand did not return to previous levels. Many households continued baking, keeping demand higher than it used to be. This creates a mismatch. Production capacity has not fully adjusted to the new level of demand, leading to periodic shortages. Smaller packets may still be available, but bulk formats are becoming harder to find consistently. The importance of yeast goes beyond baking as a hobby. It enables the production of bread from basic ingredients like flour and water. Without it, that process becomes much more difficult. There are alternatives, but they require more time and skill, making them less practical for most households. Cooking oil prices. Reflect global pressure across multiple sources. Cooking oil has experienced one of the most noticeable changes in both price and availability. Large containers that were once inexpensive have become significantly more expensive and in some cases harder to find. This shift is not caused by a single issue. It is the result of multiple global factors happening at the same time. Sunflower oil production has been affected by disruptions in key exporting regions. Palm oil faces environmental regulations and production limits. Soybean oil prices are tied to broader agricultural trends, which have also seen volatility. When several major sources of edible oil are under pressure, the entire category becomes unstable. Manufacturers and retailers respond by adjusting how products are packaged and distributed. Larger containers, which offer lower margins, may be stocked less frequently compared to smaller, higher-margin options. Cooking oil plays a critical role in nutrition. Many staple foods are low in fat, and dietary fat is necessary for absorbing certain vitamins and maintaining overall health. When access to affordable cooking oil becomes less consistent, it affects more than just cooking convenience. Bouillon's value becomes clear when variety starts to shrink. Bouillon cubes are often overlooked because they are small and inexpensive. However, their importance becomes more obvious when food variety decreases. Basic pantry staples like rice, beans, and vegetables provide essential nutrients, but they can become repetitive over time. Flavor plays a significant role in how satisfying meals feel. When meals lack variety, people may lose interest in eating the same foods repeatedly. Bouillon acts as a simple way to add flavor without requiring additional ingredients. It can turn plain dishes into something more enjoyable and easier to eat consistently. This makes it more valuable than its size suggests. Bulk formats have become less common in some stores. Smaller boxes are still available, but larger containers that offer better value and storage efficiency are harder to find. This shift is likely related to changes in packaging priorities and retail space management. If this breakdown is useful so far, consider subscribing. It helps keep this kind of content focused and consistent. Shelf-stable bacon highlights how niche products get cut first. Shelf-stable bacon is not a mainstream product, but it serves a specific purpose. It provides flavor and fat in a form that does not require refrigeration, which makes it useful in certain situations. Producing shelf-stable meat products involves additional processing steps and quality controls. When manufacturers face constraints, whether in materials, labor, or logistics, they often reduce or discontinue products that are more complex to produce. Reports from retailers suggest that some brands of shelf-stable bacon are becoming less available. This does not mean the product is disappearing entirely, but it does indicate that production is not as consistent as it once was. The value of this product lies in its ability to add variety and balance to meals. It is not essential, but it can make a noticeable difference in how meals are experienced, especially when options are limited. Canned butter shows what happens in a highly concentrated market. Canned butter is a niche product with a long shelf life, making it appealing for storage. The challenge is that production is concentrated among a small number of manufacturers. When only a few companies produce a product at scale, any disruption has a larger impact. Operational issues, whether related to facilities or packaging, can reduce total output quickly. At the same time, demand for canned butter has increased as more people look for long-term storage options. When demand rises and supply is limited, availability becomes less consistent. Canned butter provides the same product as fresh butter, but with a much longer shelf life. This makes it useful for planning ahead, especially when dairy prices fluctuate. Evaporated milk availability depends on production priorities. Evaporated milk remains widely available, but certain formats are becoming less consistent. Pull-tab cans, in particular, require additional manufacturing steps. When dairy processors face constraints, they prioritize products that generate higher returns, such as fresh milk and cheese. Shelf-stable products like evaporated milk may be produced less frequently as a result. The pull-tab format offers a practical advantage because it does not require a separate tool to open. This convenience becomes more important in situations where simplicity matters. Evaporated milk provides a concentrated source of protein and can be used in a variety of recipes. Its versatility makes it a valuable addition to a pantry, especially when fresh dairy is not always available. Honey's supply is stable, but the format is changing. Honey is unique because it does not spoil under normal conditions. This makes it one of the most stable food products available. However, the way it is sold is starting to shift. Large containers, which offer better value and are more practical for storage, are becoming less consistent in some markets. Smaller jars remain widely available, but they are less efficient for long-term use. Domestic honey production has faced challenges related to bee health and environmental factors. At the same time, increased scrutiny of imported honey has reduced the amount entering the market. These factors combine to affect overall availability. Honey serves multiple purposes. It can be used as a sweetener, an ingredient in cooking, and for other practical applications. Its long shelf life makes it particularly useful for planning ahead. None of these items are disappearing overnight. That is not how supply chains work. What is happening is slower and less obvious. Availability is becoming uneven, prices are shifting, and certain formats are harder to find. Most people will not notice these changes immediately. They will adapt as needed, switching brands or choosing alternatives. But over time, those small adjustments add up. The real question is not whether these trends will continue exactly as they are. The question is how prepared someone wants to be for gradual changes that may become more noticeable over time. Looking at everything covered, which item would you keep an eye on first and why that one over the others?